show in the center of the screen. Oh, wow. We are jumping in like
now
3 seconds before noon. There is no, whatever grace period. There is no snoozing. I do hear that that's actually polite to the people who are all in their spots to not say, good job, putting aside everything else to show up. We're going to wait a while and see if we can get more. And it's like, what? I'm chopped liver? So I hear it's a good idea.
I'm going to say hello. I thank you for having me, Christine. I'm
Yay.
Angela Fairhurst. You know something? I come from the world of live television, so it is important in that world. You have to start on time. That was my career before I came up with Jerry Gadgets.
Would you remind me, please? It has been since July. This is October. So does that make it about 13, 14 months?
I think a little longer than that, 16.
Oh my golly.
Time ago. And you caught me the first time when I was really new, because I launched January of last year. So I'm coming up on 2 years. I'd never public spoke before. I've always been behind the camera. My entire career, I was a producer or an executive in charge of production in the world of live television, music variety, award shows, talk shows, docu-follow. Yeah, all that stuff, game shows. And then my mom got dementia and my life started to change. And 2 years ago, I gave up television altogether to do this full time because the difference it made with me and my mom was so extraordinary that I had to bring it to market. So that's kind of my earliest beginnings, but I can go into the whole story about my mom if you'd like.
Absolutely. I'm going to put in right now that when people are like, what is it? I want to spell it out for them because somebody is caregiving right now with this going in the background and they're just not able to run over or move the screen so they can see what's going on. So I'm going to spell it out for you. Just like geriatric having to do with the study or the care of people in aging, advanced aging, it is spelled Geri. So Jerry, and then gadgets, the way you would normally spell gadgets. So Jerry gadgets. There's so many different ways to get hold of, literally physically get hold of these, but we have on the screen right now a way to just go right in and start making your purchases. So people, when they've got that when they're at a restful point, because I was a hired caregiver, when there's that restful moment and you're like, okay, there was this lady and she used to be in TV. And then she, like myself, this became the new full-time job. And she knew that what she had come up with really made a difference. So it's Geri Gadgets. And this is Angela Fairhurst. Thank you. I do want to know more about your mom.
Thank you. I really appreciate your giving me this forum to tell everybody about Jerry Gadgets. And by the way, there is a dash in between for my email, but if they go online, they'll find it either way because Jerry Gadgets can be with or without the dash. They'll still find the website. So thank you for that. So back in 2010, my dad was actually diagnosed with lung cancer and he died in 10 weeks. My mom at the same time was having pre-symptoms of her disease. And she had a pacemaker put in. And I literally went to the hospital and she had no idea where she was. That anesthesia made her have no clue where she was. My brother, older brother, happens to be a research doctor. He's a MD and he was working for Merck at the time. And he was trying to handle my dad. And I said, mom's losing it. He's like, no, she'll be all right. Well, she kind of had symptoms, but it was Lewy body. But I will tell you that she was originally diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And how my brother had her tested was he lives in the East Coast. I'm here on the West Coast in Los Angeles. We're native Californians. My mom too was. But she packed 16 pairs of pants and one shirt. So then he knew something was wrong. And so then she was misdiagnosed with Alzheimer's. Now, I don't know how many people know, but there's a big difference between Lewy body and Alzheimer's. But Lewy body patients cannot be given antipsychotics when they're hallucinating. It creates huge reactions that are beyond, oh my God. So my mom went through 7 different medications and 7 different hospitalizations with different bad side effects from taking one antipsychotic after another until she was finally properly diagnosed. But Lewy body, as you know, kind of, maybe somebody does, is in the back of the brain versus Alzheimer's is sort of everywhere in the brain, the plaques. So a message can go in and it comes out jumbled. So language, like frontal lobal, starts to dissipate earlier than Alzheimer's patients generally. Their memory lasts a little bit longer, funnily enough, but the language starts. Yeah, she used to.
How frustrating to
Yes.
know what you mean, know what you've put together, and
Yes.
just whatever, wrong words in the wrong place, just that frustration. I am going to pause this for a moment just because I saw Peter's green dot come on as I peeked back into LinkedIn. And so a solid green dot means that's just come on, means this person has just clicked into LinkedIn. And I'm just letting people know because this also goes out on YouTube. And a lot of people are not on LinkedIn. They think that it doesn't quite connect like some of the other platforms. And he is EOLD, end of life doula, and he is one of my previous guests. And so he's just saying, I'm going to have you respond. Go ahead and read it. Like I said, for people who are caregiving right now and just listening, go ahead and read that. And I would love for you to have a response to him.
Well, I do. I mean, we do have through one of my distributors, there is an affiliate program through SNS Worldwide. So Peter, you can hit me up separately if you like, and I can give you more details on that. So that'll work.
Good. Peter, thank you so much for jumping right in and asking about that. Angela, you've talked about the loss of your dad. So end of life, that is part of it. Why are people afraid of dementia? It's how they're going to live, how other people are going to respond, stigmas, knowing that you have it, and knowing also that it stops you from living. So please continue.
No, you're so right. And there was a huge difference between my dad, who didn't have dementia and he had lung cancer and knew his life was ending. And he basically died with such dignity. He said, I want to be at home. Oxygen was at home. Your caregivers were at home. I don't want to die in the hospital. He laid out every single thing. And he only lasted 10 weeks from the time he was diagnosed till dying. But it was only thing he could do was palliative, which is why hospice is such a beautiful thing, which he was not afraid of death. He was afraid of pain. And hospice avoided that for him. And it was so good. My mom's death, on the other hand, was a long, drawn out, horrible thing because she had those 7 hospitalizations. In the beginning of her diagnosis, it was her worst nightmare. And like remember Robin Williams killed himself?
Yes.
Right. Ended up having Lewy body dementia. I can imagine, and I obviously was not in his brain, but knowing that you're losing your mind, I can't even fathom it. And what happens, I know for my mom, is that she was very frustrated. She had so much stress and anxiety that not being able to communicate would come out as kicking or biting or being badly behaved. And so all of this created such a ruckus. She was home for 4 years until she needed 36 hours of care in 24 hours. It became dangerous. So she went into a very high-end specialty home, and then it was too big for her. And after the 7th hospitalization, I knew something was up with that medication because she had lost 17 pounds in 3 weeks, and she was 2 liters short of fluid. She wasn't eating or drinking. And so that was the
Oh.
last 911 to emergency. And we pulled it. I know, it was horrifying. I went 3 out of 4 days in a row. I kept on going. She's so close to the house. I'd cry after every visit. I just didn't know what to do. Your like hands are tied, so hopeless and helpless. And I was scrambling to figure out what to do. We brought her into a smaller care home community so that it was just easier. The volume of caregivers to residents was really high, and it saved her. But then I noticed her sensory need originally by touching and peeling magazine paper. The shiny paper was a texture that she really liked, and she found it soothing. So that's when I started to bring toys and other objects to try and see what worked. And I agree with you, Peter. That is why it is important to know which type of dementia, because we do approach things.
Goodness, yes.
And so when I saw that sensory need and I started to bring toys, I found either things were too complicated, toxic when mouthed, definitely not washable, or too babyish. It was not a respectful thing. And so my daughter's calling me. Anyway, but it was really, really difficult. So what I was frustrated with was first of all, I can tell the origin story is that she had a clenched hand. So when I first bought one of those toy buckets that had the shapes, she would take the shape and put it like it was a cup. She could not possibly get the shape in the hole. That was too complicated for somebody, but she was very curious about, my daughter's calling me again. I'm sorry, you guys, it's live and I have to leave her a message.
Oh, I think that's just fine. This is a really good moment to say hello to Russ Hedge. And we love to remember that Russ has recorded memories with his mom, who was in a place that he felt really met her needs. Same thing. This guy, he's not just at Walk to End Alzheimer's. He is a chair, or he is a speaker, what have you. I know here in Waco, our Walk to End Alzheimer's is happening this Saturday. And so Russ Hedge is saying good morning over here in our comments, saying hi to me. And yes, my show is called Aspects of Aging. So I didn't want to call it issues, challenges, problems, but just that there's different facets to aging. And one of the facets is being a person who's aging themselves, but watching someone who I'm going to say is ahead of them. And that person has at least vicariously hit more, they have friends and relatives, like peers, that, one or another thing has happened to them or is currently happening. And Angela, you had a full life before your father was diagnosed, passed away, and you recognized your mother and the 16 pair of pants and one top being something that made sense at the time for packing. And you went from a full life that, pulled you in many different directions to a very full life focused in one direction, and you took the time, you were creative, you used all your skills in amongst all the misdiagnoses and 911 calls, and said she likes the feel. It feels good. It soothes. It seems to be, but for her to pull it and place it in her mouth, it's not going to work. This is not going to go. So if only someone had something that was respectful, that was safe, that had multiple different, and you saw none, so you created one.
Exactly. And I wanted to create everything that was dishwasher safe mouth safe, non-toxic, shower and bath safe. What else is out there that they can shower or bathe with? Nothing. But when I discovered that silicone was the answer, it's the closest material to human skin. It automatically, in and of itself, is soothing to touch. We know, thank you. That's the homepage for where you can buy S&S. And you see redeem the coupons on the left corner. You make sure if you buy through S&S up at the top left-hand corner, make sure 25% off right now. But you make
I
sure,
love a deal.
yeah. Silicone became the answer. And when it basically, I found we have silicone in our kitchen. That's how I was looking. I have a Silpat and all the stirrers. And I had which was new on the market, a big square silicone pot holder. And it was so big, but I cut it down and she crunched like a taco, loved the sound, threw it back and forth. She was patting it. She was so excited. But once we threw it back and forth like a Frisbee, that was, it was literally the moment. And then I was absolutely determined to create a line of products that were going to work. And I did start ideating with the sales guy who saw all this magic happen in front of me where she was. Every Saturday, we used to get together and figure out what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. And all the things that I've sort of said, like there's so much stuff that's toxic or comes apart and you have to just be so careful. So I began studying this. And I, at the time, have 2 kids that are in they're middle school and high school. And I was still working in television production because I needed to support my family at the same time as being a so this is the sandwich caregiver that we all talk about.
Yes.
So anyway, that's where I created this, I call this sensory mat. And this first bucket I created was all fidget items that are different materials and textures, but everything was mostly silicone. And this is a tugger. Men love this, by the way. And it can be one person or two. It can be one-handed or two-handed. You don't have to be right or left-handed. But it's also shower safe, dishwasher safe, mouth safe too. That's that. And then have a popper, and everybody knows what poppers are.
Yes.
But this one, the triangle, is really good for exercising the hands and arms. This bucket is really good for those kinds of things.
Wow.
And of course they can pop it, but this is high quality. Nothing is low quality. We're selling high quality products because it's so important that nobody is harmed by trying to be helpful. But then, we are all familiar with an egg and there's no goo inside and it's basically the Goldilocks egg. So it's not too soft, not too hard. And the chain is something that's engineered very strong. So you have to be, a bulldozer to pull it apart, but it won't go over the head. So there's no choking hazard. And this also has sound made louder so that it can remind somebody of things like walking on fall leaves or, ice cubes in glass or whatever.
Yeah.
And so trigger memories. So that's the first bucket.
Angela, you're crazy clever. I mean, even when you rubbed that Frisbee and said, "Oh, and it's making this sound," and I'm like, I know that I reach out for who knows what reason, and I want to touch silicone. It's hanging in the store. It's right in between this shelf, and there's a bunch of them there, and I just have to reach out and touch them.
Yeah.
Or silicone's been added to something else. And so you're speaking my language, but not just the smooth and not just the rough, but all these other ways that you've put these things together. It was really different. The stretchy thing that you said men love. You've obviously seen more than just your mother using or just yes.
Yeah, we're in the marketplace. And I say there's no one I can't reach unless they're at the last stage where they're sleeping 95% of the time. I've been able to get engagement in some way. And as I was saying, because the silicone is so calming and it is anxiety reducing, it chilled my mom out. And we all love to fidget. I love to fidget and I don't have any dementia, but we're talking about aging. I'm like, I literally have tinnitus now. So there's ringing in my ears, and we're all, different. And so this is a new aspect of aging that I have to cope with. And it's not going to change. It's just can get lower. It's just not going to go away. So that's a news to me this last week. But I got to protect my ears. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. This just came upon you.
Yeah. I went to a Loud concert. I put earplugs in, but it was about 3 months ago, and it was so loud. We left at the halftime. I mean, I left halfway in between because the earplugs weren't even working, but it created high-end hearing loss that's permanent, actually. Even though I had pretty sad.
I'm going to interject here before I lose focus. The EchoBox Memory Vault. Are you already familiar with EchoBox Memory Vault? Oh boy. So this wife and husband couple has also been on a previous show. I've got to look them up so that I can send that particular episode your way. But so I don't know if they're seeing them for the first time or if they are one of your customers, but I'm really glad that they popped in because they've got the same thing. See a need, fill a need. So please continue on.
I know we do stuff out of desperation, really. But it ended up being, it is my passion and it is my mission to share this with as many people as possible. And we do know that now there's all sorts of early onset, all sorts of cognitive decline that this helps. There's early, Asperger's and ADHD and autism and all of these rehab and arthritis. So I'm finding that this is a full life journey with the products, and that generationally it's amazing. A grandchild playing with their grandparent, creating these beautiful moments of memory that they both can share and have. The kid will have it forever, and then they're helping their grandparent without even realizing it, because kids they're not as judgmental as we are as adults. But anyway, this bucket is the shapes bucket. And kids do love playing with this, especially with this is very great for the multi-generational play. But let me say a lot. I'm going to try and work on that. See,
we were just talking about that. Scott also records for radio. And I said, did you have to cut out some of the ums on something? He says, I cut out a lot of ums on a lot. I'm going, good job, honey, because it sounds very smooth. That it isn't going, but it is. It's I don't know, a habit. Like, I really have something I want to say.
It's a habit because we talk fast and maybe are thinking about what to say next.
Oh, very good.
What I love about the shapes are they're Tetris inspired. I loved Tetris and a little bit of Lego. It has the stars on one side and the smooth surface on the other. They come in bright colors for the aging eye. They're not primary colors. You'll notice I studied a lot of color. These can be stacked up, laying down flat, but also you can build any structure. So they're made for failure-free play, which is great. And I've never done the same thing twice. I literally will build a whole, it's easy to stack them. So when somebody has a lot of dexterity, they'll do something more complicated. And if they are further along, they'll probably lay them flat. If they are even further along, they may just put it in their mouth, which is also engagement. It matters. Every little thing is something. Our body, when we have engagement and connection, produces these wonderful chemicals, oxytocin, serotonin, and the anticipation of opening a bucket, dopamine. And these chemicals in our body last for days. So if we go and visit somebody for 15 minutes, engage with them, and then leave them with something like Jerry Gadget Bucket, that can stay with them for a couple days, a few days even. And that's scientifically proven. So that's one of the benefits of Jerry Gadgets and the silicone and the engagement. Anybody can engage that way too with other things. I don't say Jerry Gadgets is the only thing out there, but this is definitely a really great option. And this bucket, the third and other one, and by the way, I do have a lot of ideation in the future. So this won't be the end of different kinds of buckets will be coming out in the future as we get bigger and grow. But
Oh, see, I wanted you to stick something through. I'm like, there's holes, stick something
right.
through.
That's right.
Love
So
it.
my uncle was a florist, so I grew up in a flower shop.
Yay.
And the beauty of tulips, they rise with the sun. So they're very symbolic for me. This comes with 3 leaves, no wire inside. They will never break down over time. This can go in the mouth too. The vase, I did say again, and the bucket. So they can put dirt in with the bucket, but they're not going to be left out of any flower arranging. And I think both males and females love flowers too. So I do have these 3 different kits, and I call them sensory engagement kits. They're such high quality. I do not refer to them as toys because they are so much higher quality than a toy. They are therapeutic in that way. I think they really work wonders, and I'm thrilled that they are making a difference. So now we have some distribution in Canada, the United Kingdom, and soon to be Australia, New Zealand. I have, and so it's growing.
Have you been interviewed by anyone in the UK?
Not yet.
Okay, I will send you his way because it was a gentleman, which I think I know I have the right first name, but I've had a number of Petes and Peters. So he does, it's a radio interview, and he's on a network, a health network. So he's been put in kind of in his own category. That was what he found, was that he couldn't find a community that talked about dementia that was on platforms and putting out content in his own country a number of years ago. So was he using, the right algorithm, the right SEO? I don't know. But he couldn't find it. But he said, I found so many in the United States, people who had been doing this for a couple of decades and some that were brand new. And so he goes back and forth across the Atlantic, and hopefully he's circling the globe as well, just asking people to talk about their innovations, their insights, their inventions, because you truly have invented these. They're astonishing in that I can look at them and think, oh, those are preschool toys. But when I know the science and the thought and the engagement practices behind them, then I realize, wow, I can buy all 3 and I can stack them, at angles, put a ribbon up here, put a big bow on top, and this is a gift for someone. It can't hurt them. They could stack up the boxes and knock them over, and it's just going to be just wobbly fun. And that would be for someone who is challenged by how do I engage anymore? What I'm also thinking about, I don't know that you've used this word yet, but expression. So that Lewy body, not being able to express, but knowing that what you want to express, what you want to recall out loud.
Yeah.
I've seen that done by several people, previous guests who work with. You were saying that they were Tetris inspired and also a bit of Lego. So people who work with Legos and Duplos with people who need a better vehicle for expressing themselves. And this could be a traumatized person.
Mhm.
This could be a person who has been through it, not necessarily a disease or an injury, but just I physically was in the same space with one of these people, and she had us express something that had to do with a topic. And I've suddenly realized, oh, all the pieces do not have to be together for me to create an expression and to be able to describe what I'm showing is that this person is being excluded, and everyone else over here has purpose, and people are like, oh, I see it now. And so things like that for someone, to interact with your loved one and to be going, you keep taking that in and out, in and out.
Yeah.
Show me what else, what can I do that's going to be like that? Or we were talking about a recipe. We were talking about when you used to work at the meat market. Are you putting things away? Are you just
Yeah.
it's just an opportunity, like you said, no fail.
Right. Failure free.
Whatever it is that comes out of it,
Yep.
there was no expectation at the beginning. If you can choose not to have huge expectations, today they're going to remember my name.
Yeah.
Today we're going to sit without any
Yep.
behaviors that I don't feel good about, or something. If you just decide, I'm going to sit here and fiddle with these, I'm going to let that egg roll off the table into their lap and see if it sparks any
Yeah.
sort of a playfulness.
100%. I think that we don't need language for Jerry Gadgets, which makes it 100% accessible. You don't need directions to how to use them. It's only limited by someone's creativity. And as long as we meet someone where they are and engage with them, that's a beautiful thing. You don't need to say, hey, what's my name? I learned to not approach by asking a question. It's more like, hi,
Yeah.
it's hi, Mom, it's Angela. I'm your daughter. And that would help, because questions become overwhelming when the thought process isn't the same. We also have to remember that short-term memory is only 30 seconds long. So we get frustrated when they've repeated themselves. They don't know. When they don't know if they've ate, they don't know. They don't remember something. We don't know what they're going to absorb or not, because every day is a little bit different. Every time a day is a little bit different. So meeting them where they are, and not just only trying something once, but going back another time and another time, because everybody changes every day. Sometimes during the day, different moods will bring up different things. My mom would engage with these for 3 hours on end, but one day it might only be 15 minutes. But then again, our patience level is really, really important. So talking low and slow and not bringing that energy. And we don't get mad at somebody with cancer. We might be upset that they have it, but we're not going to go, hey, what are you doing? You don't remember? That kind of thing we would never do. So we have to remember, when somebody has cognitive decline, to let it be what it is. It's okay. They're going to repeat themselves. You can sublimate just like you would with a toddler that's off on this direction. You're going, hey, what about that tree? I mean, we learned to do that. Hey, what about this? And it takes them out of where they were and maybe brings them into a new place.
Angela, you have caught the attention of one of my favorite people in Dallas, Texas. And that is, hi, Lori. Yes, you are one of my favorite people. She, I guess I can say she runs Apple Care and Companion. So she makes sure the right people are in with other right people, and everybody is richer because of that. She also has created, and she has worked on this. She is so careful to create a website where, I'm going to use the word vetted, she could use better words, where she makes sure if you go to that website, are you going to be frustrated with trying to figure out, now, I thought I was getting this, but I've been clicking on this, it's not working. They just can't be part of agetechnow.com. So though she is located in Dallas, Texas, agetechnow.com is for anyone anywhere who is looking for something, and it took technology for you to decide this part is going to be 2.5 inches long, because this part is 3 inches long. This one's two, whatever it was that you ideated and that you researched and that you scienced as you were putting this together. Hey, Lori. You're easy to be
Lori,
sweet to.
and she has
What?
I do know Lori. She has
Oh.
Age Tech Now, has Jerry Gadgets listed on them. So I appreciate that. Thank you for the compliment, Lori. I have the same respect for you. Back at you.
Woo!
It's really great. I so appreciate that you see the products for what they are. I appreciate that you see that having something analog and simple is important in the world of technology too, because not everybody can handle that. I know that people have put a headphone on somebody and given them a Jerry Gadget bucket so that they can take their EEG or something else to occupy them so they could sit still even for music. So these work really well in conjunction with other things. And that's also one of the benefits of Jerry Gadgets that I really didn't expect when I first made them, how well that they would complement other things like that.
That's fantastic. So this analog actually makes technology work for a person who needs focus and relaxation and distraction, who gets pushed into an MRI going, hey, just another day. I love laying inside of a tube. They're like, do you need music? Do you need to have your eyes covered? And it's just, we need, human beings need help to interact with technology without freaking out.
That's true. So true. I'm actually going to ask somebody if it's safe to have medical grade silicone go in an MRI machine. I would think it might be. That's actually something really brilliant, Christine, that you brought up. I want to find out.
I was accidentally brilliant again. I love practical. The only thing that I've written has just been dead practical as far as published. It has emotions in it. One of them is Caregiver Kit, and it goes in many different directions. And the concept is filling a container with items that will help you to grieve well again in the future, because as we age, there will be grieving, re-grieving, just co-grieving, grieving that you've just heard a diagnosis of a friend, grieving that there was a sudden death of a person you've only seen on TV, but you feel so close to that person. And so really getting down to the practical. In the dishwasher, can it be on the bottom rack of an old dishwasher that gets really hot is silicone. I know that we can use it for ovens.
Yes, it's safe in a dishwasher on the bottom. Just want to make sure that the smaller parts are in a basket so that they don't fall through. But I generally put the bigger pieces on the bottom and the smaller pieces on the top just to save them from falling through. But they work. It works with a wipe. It works with regular soap and water if somebody doesn't own a dishwasher. So that's fine as well.
That's true.
Yeah, not everybody does. But Lori did say, and I just said again, I'm going to really try hard not to. That
I didn't notice it this time, so you slipped it in real fast.
Lori did say that innovation does not have to be tech. And it did take a lot of innovation to create Jerry Gadgets.
Yeah.
To make something this simple is not that easy. It took me 8 years to get it to market. The pandemic did not help because everything silicone was impossible to get. Our shipping issues were tough, but I persevered because when something matters, it's worth the effort and it's worth the results that I'm getting in terms of everyone being able to see that these make a difference is so satisfying to me. It's a beautiful end game with this. I'm hopefully going to be able to reach as many people as possible. What you were saying earlier, Christine, is that as people age, I just got it started at this age. I'm not stopping. But everybody is not chronologically old. Some people are older earlier because of illness or attitude or whatever. I believe that everything that we can control, we should try to. Our diet, our exercise, engagement, not sitting back home and isolating, trying to make everything connected so that we have a healthier life, that our attitude is really positive. I went to a longevity summit in June, and 2 different doctors in 2 different sessions talked about happiness quotient. Basically, you can extend your life by 7.5 years having a positive attitude, and that the equivalent of negative and turning inward and being everything is half empty instead of half full is the equivalent of smoking 12 cigarettes a day. 2 different scientists said this. Amazing that us just changing our perspective and our attitude. If I spent time upset about all of the trauma that everybody goes through, and we were talking about grief. We grieve a loss of a friendship, even if they're still alive. That's part of life. People move out of proximity and we lose touch. We have things come into our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. We know these to be true, but we grieve a lot. That's what I do, a lot of writing for that purpose, so that I can recoup my grief, put it somewhere in writing, and do things like that. But it's all really important. And I think that Jerry Gadgets ends up being a bridge to some of that grief ahead of time when you're losing someone, and you can go and visit them with a Jerry Gadget bucket and connect that way. You start to be happy for the moments that you do have and grateful for the engagement, however small. Instead, and you're going to grieve somebody who used to be, but you're not hoping them to return. That doesn't happen. And a lot of people think that there's a magic bullet that will do that. There isn't. So what it is a major acceptance of the situation and really meeting them where they are. Jerry Gadgets ends up being such a relief to so many people in that regard that I didn't expect it to be as phenomenal as it has been. And especially among I mentioned earlier, that multi-generational aspect of it is so cool. So it's ended up being a really fun thing and a mission and a purpose for me to be able to talk about it. When I was early on, I couldn't communicate like this without being nervous. And now I feel very comfortable because it makes such a difference that I put myself and my insecurities aside because here's something that does matter and is so important. So I'm happy to be able to deliver that to as many people as possible. And the English, the Raven Court, which is Story and Sons, is their retail version. I think they have, it's a big company in UK. So I'm happy to say that they're a distributor and spread the word there as well, that they have become a new distributor. And that's a really good company. That's
Could you say the name of the company again?
The Raven Court has curated products, but the division that's selling the retail is Story and Sons. Either or, you would find it on their website. They are listed on my website to their homepage. So if someone has people in UK, they can find their link on my website and where to buy. Same with Canada, because Ugeria has the Jerry gadgets in Canada, and they're bringing them to the US as well soon. So I know it's extra effort to go to that where to buy page and go to the website of the distributor, but it's worth it. So thank you for putting that up again.
Yay. Yes. And you mentioned earlier that there are dashes that help you get right to where you want to be, but you can also just do Jerry, G-E-R-I, as in geriatric, gadgets, as you would normally spell it. I'm looking down below. There's ssww.com/Jerry-gadgets-4-dementia, FOR, for dementia.
Yeah. And
love it. Yeah.
That was a distributor that was the first distributor in the US. So they're up there. Make sure you use a redeem coupon, which you find there on the upper left-hand side. I don't control those coupons, but I know they reappear every week to different percentages off. We are expanding our distribution channels, so keep on looking on where to buy because they will become more competitive, I would say. I earn the same no matter what, but that's just how it works in the world of distribution. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, you could do a whole show on how do you go from concept. Let's see, you were a producer of events and TV shows to product development, and how you could give like maybe you have a whole speech on this was what I thought my target group is. This is why this is some iterations, had to make changes. We are at the 48-minute mark.
That's good.
I'm going to use only less than 2 minutes, and then I'm going to let you finish out. I'm wondering, because it has been said that developing minds respond to black and white objects. I'm simply wondering, not asking for you to make a comment on brain disease or anything else. I'm wondering if there is a type of dementia that responds better to stark white, stark black, as far as making sense of the world. That's just a wonderment. And this is my maybe not so way out there. People who know that they have dementia. Some of 4 or 5 different people who are have been on my previous episodes, Aspects of Aging on Aging Better Network, have come on to talk about life as a person who deals with it. And I'm just going, wouldn't that be fun to have this panel discussion on I have this kind, but I have a friend who has that kind. And I know what you mean about the feel, or et cetera. Just to get insights, not promise that you're going to make that, but a bucket developed by people with dementia, or that they added to it, for people who love someone who has dementia, or cares for someone, or just goes, you know what, I'm going to buy one of those for myself, because I know the 3 I've been diagnosed with, and at least 2 of them this is really going to be great if I can pick this up and go, hey, interact with me for a while. Don't be scared. Don't feel like there's a stigma. By the way, I helped develop this. Those are my crazies. So I
No,
went 30 seconds over. Go
we're,
ahead and take
we're
these
so
last
good.
minutes.
Christine, we're so good. I have 28 ideas already. I hope that they would be among those people's ideas too. I really do. So there's a lot to come, because it's endless possibilities, as we say. I never, as a producer, would have predicted that I would be in healthcare, let alone product development. But I do have 2 other patents. Oh, I am an idea person. I have this left brain, right brain kind of mind. I think that we're only limited by our own limitations. I think if we want, we go for it big enough. I think we only stop ourselves. So the fact that I learned about manufacturing and distribution and fulfillment and insurance and all of these things, and tooling, all of this education has hopefully helped my neuroplasticity. We know that the London taxi drivers grow their brain from just learning the intricate streets in London, so that it is possible to expand our mind.
Yes.
Knowing that gives me some excitement that we can delay. Maybe it's genetic, but we can do a lot to prevent and avoid by taking care of ourselves. It's not genetic. When it's just, I'm not going to put it in park, because there's so much in the world to see, and we don't know when our time is up. That's the one thing we definitely have in common. But the fidget gadget bucket works for people that just sitting at their desk and want to hold something that lightens the stress that we have on a daily basis of living life.
I kept thinking about mental health, just plain old everywhere mental health. Yep.
It's soothing. And that's another thing about the business. I am being able to pivot to see that their acceptance is where it's going, that disability centers, adult daycare centers, care home communities, libraries, schools with special ed are all buying Jerry gadgets. So now I just hope that I can expand it and be able to do more and produce more, so that people have even more options of product. But right now, this is all I have at the moment, because it takes a lot of, I'm self-invested, so that's hard. Trying to scale and trying to expand that audience too for me, so that we can make a difference as many people as possible. So Jerry Gadgets are here for that. I am always emailable to, you can find me on the website and leave me a message and I will return it. I believe accessibility has to come from me as well. As long as the products are accessible, I need to be too.
Yay.
Yeah. So that's really my
physical therapy, occupational therapy, after a traumatic brain episode like a stroke. I just see those as being, we're actually seeing video.
Yep.
Good job, Scott.
Look,
That's my hubby producer, D. Scott
great.
Smith.
This
is great.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of, I have Instagram, I have YouTube channel. It shows different people doing different things with Jerry Gadgets. There's no instruction manual because it's failure free, and there's endless possibilities to how you engage with Jerry Gadgets. But there are ideas on the website, on Instagram, on YouTube. They're all connected to one another. So there are links to both of those things, all of those things on my website. So that's it.
Wonderful. GERI, as in geriatric, GERI, often a dash, and then gadgets. And this is Angela Fairhurst. And well, I think I saw just a little bit of screen producing happening again on your website. So very different than game show or some of the things that you did before.
Yeah.
But part of it, lights, camera, engagement, color, when to swipe over to something else, when to change, the angle, when to do a close up. You are very well aware of that. And being a producer, like my husband is my producer,
It's great.
you know that you want an end product that is going to just set right with an audience. Like, I want to see that again. And I do. Now that I've seen that one, I'm like, I want to see that again. What's going on in the background? And is anybody else doing, so I think so is my so it's as if I want to say, don't interrupt me because I'm sewing all my sentences together. I'm going to stop. Angela, final word, and then we want to quit before the 60-minute mark.
I appreciate you having me today. I appreciate your audience appreciating the Christine and Jerry Gadgets for everyone and making a big difference in all communities. So I appreciate people spreading the word, and connection is so important. I always love to be connected with more people too. So that's my spiel. Thank you for promoting Jerry Gadgets.
Well, you're going to get back to your daughter. And I want to say thank you to 2 people who rearranged their schedules so that you could come on today. 25% off. And that's what we saw on the screen that Scott put up. So take a peek because it changes, and I'm going to just end there and say, this was delightful. I get to go live again next week with somebody else. It's always Mondays, noon Central, because I'm in Central Texas. Aspects of Aging for Aging Better Network. Thank you. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you for having me.